I think one of the main things that we've taken from the research is the usefulness of social media and just communications technologies generally for peace building. I think, and not just to do with religion either. I think a lot of it's just building stronger communities and connections between communities. And the example of that is Ushahidi, which is invented just before the Kenyan elections, I think. And it's mass crowdsourcing of information to monitor electoral violence. I think it's a really good example of using social media to build stronger communities and a stronger peace.
My kind of aha moment when working on this project was looking at the spaces where the online world meets the real world, and those spaces in the in-between. How do you see what's being talked about online translate into real work in interreligious dialogue? How does a listserv translate into a conference? How does a project online on a forum translate into groups coming together to talk with other people of different faiths?
The real advantage I think that this project has really opened me to is the possibility of engaging individuals in one-on-one conversation, really without the stigma of you don't have a face, you don't have a color, you don't necessarily, unless you choose to reveal it, have a religion, you don't have titles. And I really think that the use of new social media allows individuals from across the world to really engage with each other, even if they aren't occupying the same physical space.
It was really powerful to see the ways in which social media is being utilized both formally. We have these planned communities like bridge builders that we saw, but also a lot of dialogue that's just happening on Twitter and on Facebook and isn't really planned. And we see it every day on our friends' Facebook walls, but to actually look at it in this whole new light and see the opportunities that it presents if we can really capture it and use it to catalyze the movement towards more dialogue and religious pluralism is really powerful.
It seems like the most difficult gap that will need to be overcome with the use of new social media will be between the generations. You see a lot of people who aren't comfortable using it, who are of the older generation, and as part of the younger generation who uses it every day, how do you reach out to those people?
I think the most important thing that I learned from my research with interfaith organizations was the necessity of creating a sense of ownership for the users of bridge builders, for example, or dialogue forums on Facebook. It's important for users to feel like they have ownership of the space and the direction of the dialogue and feel as if it's a safe forum for them to express their opinions and to ask questions. And this is really necessary for the sustainability of interreligious dialogue online.
Well, I came into the process more interested in the social media aspect. I actually ended up focusing more on the interreligious dialogue aspect of the project. In some of my other research that I've been doing for my thesis, I've been looking at something called media richness theory, and I think that might really have an impact on the way social media is used in interreligious dialogue as we get richer forms of communication with video and voice chat with multiple people over great distances.
It was interesting to see that the rules for offline interreligious dialogue are very similar to the ones online. And really, the key is not so much the medium, but the quality of the conversation and the goodwill of the participants. Some people feel that the internet and new social media has a tendency to push people apart and find like-minded communities, whereas others think it'll bring people together. I'm not quite sure myself. I think there are a lot of good arguments on both sides, but I guess it does have a great potential for positive use.